Okay, so in this video I'm going to explain to you how to do a hanging leg raise for optimal ab development and to also make your waist smaller, which is obviously something we all want to look aesthetic as we can. So, a couple of key starting points. Don't start with a wide grip here. You want to come narrow in a neutral grip, palms facing together. And then you want to pull yourself up, locking in your scapula into your rib cage. Why? Because we want to try and create stability through our upper back and so we've got a stable platform to perform the leg raise. One of the reasons you see people go wide and they sway like a flag in the wind is because they have no stability in their shoulders because they're gripping wide, and it doesn't allow you to have a strong position. So we want to come neutral grip, narrow, reach up, lock the shoulders in, and this will lock our rib cage in place so that we can't move. So we have to think our abdominals work from bottom of our ribs into our hips and our pelvis. So if we can lock one end, by doing this, we're going to get a better contraction. So that's step number one. Step number two, when you're in this position and you're locked in upper body, we then want to look at the hips. So with our hips, what you see most people do is they tend to let their hips rock backwards and they throw their waist forward to begin the leg raise. What I want you to do is at the start of every rep, is stop, reset your hips into neutral, so roll them forwards, so you haven't got a pelvic tilt. Tilt your pelvis forwards, almost like rolling in. So if you think of a scared dog position where they always tuck their tail in, that's what you want to think about with your hips. So that's step two, is getting your hips in the right position. Step three, before we begin the leg raise. Now this is how we can make your waist smaller. What we want to think about is, so we've got rib cage locked in, hips are neutral, then think about forming a small vacuum, pulling your belly button in towards the base of your spine. And this is the starting position for the leg raise. So once you've got this locked in, that's when I want you to think about bringing your legs up and contracting through your core. And we want to keep this really, really stable and then focus on each rep at the bottom position, almost let your hips drop back into a pelvic tilt, reset them to neutral, suck in with your stomach like vacuum, and then begin the leg raise again. So this is how we want to focus on building our abs and making our waist smaller by using a leg raise. Some other tips I'd recommend for this, to make this easier and to get better results. Number one, if you struggle with grip, use wrist straps where you can strap yourself up into the chin-up bar. Number two, with gripping the bar, try and get bars high enough so you aren't touching the floor, so you're at a dead hang position. That can sometimes be challenging if you're a little bit tall, however this is ideally what we want. Next point after this would be to make sure that you have some hip mobility. Most people have fucking no hip mobility, so they're jacked up super tight through their hips, through their rep fem, through their quad, through their obliques, everything is super tight, so they're in this position constantly. So something that would help a lot in terms of getting better engagement from your core is to actually release this. So if you haven't already, check out some of my other videos in regards to how to release your hips and release your hip flexors, and this will make a big difference. So many people don't realise there's actually 10 muscles of the hip flexor, so there's a lot of tissue here which we can release. Once you release that, you'll get a much better contraction through your abdominals, get a better leg raise, create a better midsection, protect your back, and have more stability for better back exercises. This is an exercise I'd highly recommend for anyone who struggles with core stability before doing any compound lifts. So this can work great for training back, if you're doing a bent over position and you use to keep your spine in a neutral position and hold that, or also if you're doing any pressing movements and you find you're doing this with your rib cage. So implement these leg raise techniques today to maximise your output on this exercise. Your performance will increase, your physique will improve, and also your longevity will increase, and you won't be putting your lower back and other joints at risk. In terms of frequency of training abs, how often should you do it? So some people want to train their abs every day. Cool, you can do that, but we have to remember, if your goal is purely aesthetics and you want to get a six-pack, the main common denominator you have to look at is getting your body fat to a low enough level, which if you want help with that, drop me a message or hit the link below, you can book a free strategy call. But in terms of ab training frequency, I'd suggest for most people, 3 to 4 times a week is probably the maximum you want to do. For most people, like optimal is probably twice a week is more than enough. Again, this is quality over quantity, which is what this whole video is about, to teach you how to do this correctly, get you more bang for your buck and be more efficient in what you're doing. So 2 times a week, perform this correctly, 2 sets, as many reps as possible on a hanging leg raise. You can even go into partials and you will get killer results. Another exercise that phenomenally helps in terms of improving the leg raise and creating more hip stability is a Copenhagen plank. So the Copenhagen plank, the beauty of this is we can train each adductor, the muscle in the inside of our leg, and with the adductor there's actually 5 muscles of the adductor which many people don't realise, so there's a lot of tissue that runs into the groin. This is very, very important because it helps again stabilise our hips, which is one of the 2 core pillars and foundations of our body with our scapula and shoulders on our hips. So the more we can stabilize our hips by doing something like a Copenhagen plank, the more power and strength output we're going to get, the better the physique we're going to get, and also the more longevity you're going to have with less injuries. So the Copenhagen plank, I would add this into your warm-up routine. I'd probably look to do 8 to 10 reps and look to, at the top of each rep, really focus on holding and squeezing and holding the tension through your adductor. Again, isometric contraction. How often should you do Copenhagen plank? 2 to 3 times a week works great. It's not something you want to do a huge amount of volume with, so 1 to 2 sets almost to get it fired up, get hips stable, and that'll work insane.